Yeah, I mean, again, there's been a similar response across Europe in terms of um, helping businesses, trying to keep people on payroll, various schemes in various countries. But I mean, there's no doubt this is a huge economic crisis, and governments are having to put in a huge amount of money to try to keep economies afloat, to keep companies afloat. I think virtually all of the analysis that we see indicates that we're looking at a V curve or a V crisis. We've gone into this very steeply, but all the analysis suggests that we'll come out of it pretty steeply as well. The Bank of England came out with a report last week indicating that they think possibly by the end of next year we get back to where we were in early February, early March. Now, the challenge, of course, is to ensure that we don't lose so many companies and people lose so many jobs that actually recovery then becomes a problem. And I think that's why we're seeing this huge stimulus. We've seen it in the UK, billions and billions and billions of pounds, 300 billion, I think, altogether for the UK or thereabouts. I mean, vast sums we can't even contemplate. I mean, we're seeing it in Hungary as well, although actually, interestingly, I was looking at a chart the other day that indicated Hungary's share of GDP that it's putting into economic recovery is actually pretty small compared to, is lower than the European average as a percentage of GDP. And yet we also see for Hungary that, again, most of the analysis from EBRD, IMF, or the Commission suggests that Hungary may well be among the top 3 or 5 European countries to come out of this reasonably quickly. And again, I don't think I'm telling tales out of school. Gergely Gulyás was saying to me yesterday, there is a debate in government about how soon can Hungary get back to where it was. There are optimists in the cabinet who think that maybe even by the end of this year, Hungary can rebound. Although I think he was saying that the sort of average view is that we're probably looking sometime in the first half of next year. And I think I've just seen a report suggesting that in the UK, we might well be looking at the end of Q2 next year for the UK economy to get back to where it was. I think we should, there are positives to be taken out of this. And I appreciate that I'm not in the private sector. I'm not worrying about cash flow. I'm not worrying about having to lay off people. I'm not having to worry about supply chain. But I think the analysis is that we will probably come out of this rebound fairly quickly. But I think it's absolutely right that we need to try to protect jobs as best we can and protect companies on the basis that this is a comparatively short-term crisis. I think the big difference compared with 2008, 2009, this is not a banking crisis. One of the reasons why it was so bad in 8 and 9 was because the banking system was seriously affected. That is not the case this time. Banks are far more liquid now than they were then. And the message that we're putting out to British banks and to lenders is actually you should be really making the effort to lend more now, because if you don't, it's going to be worse for you in the longer term.